Welcome to Unorganized Thought, the podcast where we'll talk about some stuff and we'll try and keep it coherent as possible, though that is quite unlikely. Today we're going to be talking about Rick and Morty, maybe more specifically the new season's first episode, and then maybe we'll move into some stuff that Quinn's got for us, some like game expansion stuff. I think
there's new stuff coming out pretty much.
Cool.
A bunch of different stuff, yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to try and remember to sit up straight because in the last footage I looked like a hunchback because of my posture. But yeah, anyways, Rick and Morty. I like the episode. Let's
should
maybe
probably preface that the new season is here now and it's just kind of releasing now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if we established that yet. Just kind of timeline wise. That we'll be talking about the new 4th season.
Yeah, season 4, episode 1.
Mm-hmm. So only the first episode's out as of this recording. I think probably by the time this comes out, the first 2 episodes will be out.
Yeah, next one comes out on Sunday.
Yeah. Or so maybe 3, but the first couple episodes will be out, but we're just talking about the first one today.
Yeah. So maybe just real quickly, a spoiler-free, just kind of thoughts, like thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think?
Good, thumbs up. Yeah. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Pretty solid intro.
Kieran has
a soft thumbs up. I guess.
Soft thumbs up. He has some contention, it would appear. I kind of thought that it was a little bit refreshing. For whatever reason, and I don't really remember my plight with it, but I didn't love season 3. It kind of dragged a bit for me, and so I kind of liked what this episode did. It was really creative in kind of just like, it reminded me of some of the weird and dark and just kind of like, funny schemes, just the mixture of humor and like science fiction and, like, I don't know, I appreciated, what it did and kind of building on where the characters are going now after certain events have transpired. Yeah.
I got kind of like season 2, the first episode from that one, vibes from this episode with like the whole like time crack and things, that whole kind of unique concept I kind of got from season 4 episode 1. It was like a new idea they were kind of playing around with. I just got that kind of vibe from it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Toying around with new ideas like that, keep it sci-fi and
fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. I don't know, I just kind of been in a weird space with Rick and Morty since season 3, I think. Like, I don't know, like, it's always the last couple times I've seen it, it's just kind of always been fine, and I just haven't really had an episode or storyline with them, or just kind of, since early season 2, there's not really been any standout episodes to me.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. So I think that from now on, spoilers ahead for season 4 and prior seasons, because we're probably just going to hop right into it, kind of analysis and thoughts and whatnot. So maybe I'll put a time code if we start talking about something else later. And I should mention Kieran's not going to be here for much longer. He's got to get going, and so soon we're going to probably shift around the cameras, but we'll talk about this for a little bit longer. But anyways, I think that some of the things I liked about this one is, as was said, it was really kind of fresh and creative in some of the things it did, like with the whole death crystals thing. I thought that was a really cool concept that like, there was so many different paths that could lead to so many different deaths, and kind of the way that Rick and then Morty later on kind of used it so masterfully to like enhance their combat essentially was kind of a really cool idea.
It was cool for me because the first time I watched it, like the the scene I watched of, like, the possible death was Rick getting shot from behind.
Yeah,
by the,
I spotted
Yeah.
that, and then immediately he goes, because you're about to get shot. Yeah,
that was
that was
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of cool to notice.
I think
Mhm.
when I was watching it, I think I noticed that too. What I was thinking about that scene was that it kind of increased the. I think that one played maybe a couple times. Like, it was a lot of different deaths,
Mhm.
and then they kind of focused on that one
Mhm.
so that you
So
would
you
notice
might
it.
see it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. The other idea, obviously, that plays a heavy part is that Rick's consciousness keeps getting uploaded into these different clones
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
different dimensions
Yeah.
and realities and
That was-
stuff. And
that was
I
cool.
thought that was pretty good.
It was
And
interesting.
there was a surprising amount of them were these fascist
Yeah.
like realities of these worlds.
That was really cool to see for me, because I've always wondered, like, what happens if Rick dies? He's got to have
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
and that was kind of quite a shock for me.
Yeah.
When he flew out, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That
And
was pretty
I-
crazy.
I think that it'll probably be kind of something that to set the tone of the
Yeah.
coming season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where that's definitely what I thought when that happened. I was like, all right, so that's how
Well,
we're
yeah,
doing this.
and it really kind of harkens back to kind of the first season, kind of the episode that lots of people remember is when they Cronenberg their
yeah.
Mhm.
reality, and then they
Yeah.
just hop to a new one, and it's kind of this like, oh my god, like I can't believe that just happened. And so
Mhm.
like, but at this point, like, Morty was so desensitized that in the pursuit of this potential reality, he was willing to leave his grandfather dead, you know.
Yeah,
And like, that's another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, is that Morty, like, just murders a bunch of innocent people in
Oh,
this
yeah.
episode, and that's not reset. Like,
Mhm.
they don't rewrite that to make sure
Yeah.
that all those people lived. Like, that's just something that has happened now.
Yeah.
And it's just
Mhm.
sort of this slow progression in Morty's character where he's just, enough is enough, you know, where he's kind of pushing him to this point of where maybe, I think a theory that's out there that this Morty is evil Morty
Mhm.
or whatever, and you kind of are seeing that,
Yeah.
where Morty is just more and more desensitized to this violence. Like, his grandpa flew out and was impaled, and he kind of was like, he was shocked at first, but then he was more drawn to his own selfish desires
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
helping other people like he always used to be.
Mhm.
Something I think about that is, yeah, he definitely is desensitized in that moment, but I think it's almost kind of the same feeling that the audience has.
Yeah.
Is just kind of like, they know that he's going to be back in some way.
It's true.
And I feel like that's probably what Morty had, where he's just
Yeah.
kind of like,
He didn't really believe it.
well, like, he's not dead. He's going to come back in some fashion. And then immediately after, there's the hologram telling him how to
Yeah.
revive him. And so
Yeah.
it's like, kind of saw this coming.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fair. It's still a pretty mild reaction to watching your grandpa get
Exactly.
skewered, but
Yeah.
he's seen worse.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and imagine how many times he's seen Rick die at this point.
It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
You know, like,
it might have
even
been old
in
news
in
at
that Goo Monsters one.
Yeah, the goo monster like shoots him, but just at the right moment he like injected himself
Yeah.
with a baby version of
Yeah.
himself, where those two are just killing each other and finding ways to be brought back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
and
like,
so
that
like,
was a gross sequence.
yeah, when he birthed the
I
baby
always
and
liked that.
grew up in the same like stroke of a punch.
Yeah.
It was cool, but gross.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good, and like, it's obviously like that really dark kind of humor, you know, like,
Mhm.
something
Oh,
that
yeah.
I kind of noticed is that, just to kind of juxtapose, and Quinn's not gonna really kind of get this though, is that, like, for example, in Doctor Sleep, there's this really horrific scene where like, essentially a character is tortured to death.
Mhm.
And then in this, there is a scene where the larva version of Goldenfold, or whatever
Yeah.
the teacher's name, is tortured to death, and his children are birthed and eaten.
And they use
And
it as
they use it
comedy.
as a joke,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, there's kind of this, like, every once in a while you watch that show and it's like, oh, like, why? They just did that so lightly, and, like, especially kind of fresh out of Doctor Sleep, it kind of, like, it left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and you can't really be in that place for watching Rick and Morty. You have
Yeah.
to separate yourself
Mhm.
from the really horrific to properly enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know, I kind of, like, usually I'm in the right place to watch it, but I guess I just wasn't this time, and I kind of, like, I was a bit disgusted by that, because, like, you know, like, I'm still a human with, like, where, even though it's a cartoon, where, like, none of that is real, and
it's
of
still
course,
it's
still an anthropomorphic thing, and those are still babies that just, like,
Ooh,
got devoured. Yeah, and it was like, well,
yeah.
you know, like, and obviously none of it is real, but it's still kind of like...
Objectively, it's a horrific scene.
Yeah.
And I thought it was super hilarious.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, it's a different kind of show.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it kind of brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, there was, like, the one line that I kind of liked is that the giant hologram Rick explodes, and Rick just goes, there's a lesson here, but I'm not going to be the one who figures out what it is. You know, but kind of behind that, though, is that there is this sort of, you know, undertone of Morty this entire time was harming other people to get what he wanted specifically, and then, like, you know, he shouldn't have been doing that, but at the same time he didn't really pay the price for it. He kind of learned his lesson.
Did you guys see the post-credit scene?
Did you watch the post-credit scene?
I forgot there was post-credit.
Yeah, and so I kind of knew that was coming the whole time. I'm like, there's some sort of catch, and he doesn't, like, there's gonna be something where it's like, oh, you made it up, it's in your head, like, you know, or something.
Well, so the post-credit scene, Quinn, was it was
Just
Jessica standing there with her friends.
Like the doctor or something.
Yeah, and she says, I want to be an orderly or whatever, where I sit with the dying people who are alone and read whatever their name tag happens to be and say I love you.
Yeah.
And Morty's standing around the corner and he goes, oh, come on. And Rick comes through and he's like, Morty, I need your help. And Morty says, what, you need to cover me in spiders and gasoline? Sure, I'll do it. And he walks through the portal. And Rick says something like, oh, well, that wasn't my first thing that I was going to say, but I'm not going to waste this opportunity. But yeah. And so,
about right, though,
there's always some sort of
I knew there was
trick.
some sort of catch.
Yeah.
And of course, like, when he was coming down from his, like, murder rampage, Jessica's like, hey, we're going skinny dipping. He's like, no, I gotta die with you in 40 years.
Yeah.
Like,
That's obviously.
Passing up the opportunities.
And obviously you can't live for a potential death.
Yeah, exactly. Something that you were just mentioning, the line about there's a lesson in this, but I'm not going to be the one to do it, is I think it definitely is just kind of it's kind of a joke on the overall thing that Rick and Morty is.
Because
like,
it's just so ridiculous.
Well, it's so ridiculous, and there's always things where people extrapolate, like, oh, well, this means this, and look how Rick did this, and that means it's a reference to this ancient theory or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it kind of plays two ways, where it is just a reference to how they have these overarching meanings and deeper meanings in their stuff. But I think it also could be almost a jab, where it's some of the things where people are like, oh, well, clearly this means like this deeper thing, when you look at it and it's Roiland making this thing, and so it's like,
it's just
did
chaos.
he really mean that, or is that something that you were able to take from it?
And
know?
it's here and there, because
and I'm sure there's a bit
because
of both,
Roiland does like, you know, hiding things
Mm-hmm.
in his show. He even over several shows, like there's kind of the Gravity Falls connections, and speaking of connections, in the title sequence, the two-headed goose from Adventure Time
is that what that was?
Is in their living room, and Rick opens the fridge and like is getting ready to destroy it, like it's this dangerous creature, and that's the two-headed goose outside of the treehouse from Adventure Time, and I thought that was kind of an interesting reference there.
Well, yeah, he's worked on it a bunch, so like it's not
Roiland
super
has had ties. He voices the Earl of Lemongrab.
Yeah.
The unacceptable.
Yeah. What was I just thinking of? That it's gone.
Sorry.
It was.
We're talking about theories and connections.
Did you recognize the one bully at the end.
Yeah, with
He
the
looked like a
weird
ginger guy.
eyes. I think he's just been in the
If
show
he's just
before.
been in the show, or if he, I wasn't
did
sure.
recognize he had kind of weird goat eyes.
Almost, yeah. I didn't know if he'd just been in the show before or if he was something else.
I think he was in the show before, and if
Yeah.
not, I did notice
I'm sure
that.
other people know, if anyone watching.
Yeah, I think that it was
Yeah.
probably just from the show before, like from previous seasons.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, because
I did recognize him.
Mhm.
I think, I don't know, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Was there an interdimensional cable episode that had something to do with goat eyes? I think maybe there was.
I don't know if it was a cable episode, but those kind of weird eyes have showed up before.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't remember. But anyways,
Mhm.
we'll have to look into that, or let us know in the comments if you
Oh, I'm sure people are screaming and like, "Oh my goodness, it's from this,
Yeah.
you idiots!"
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
so obvious.
It's been a while. I
Yeah,
didn't
I haven't
rewatch
watched
anything.
the old seasons.
I didn't
Yeah.
rewatch anything for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this episode.
Yeah,
I
thought
thought
it was.
it was because
I don't want to like juxtapose, or is that the word?
yeah.
I just don't want. I don't want to counteract myself too much, but like, because I said I was just kind of fine, but I did like it. Like I'm not against it. I just I almost feel like the show's kind of lost its magic for me. I guess, and like I still enjoy it, but I don't know. There's just I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure what it is.
For me, alternatively, this kind of rekindled.
Yeah,
for
and
me,
I can definitely
honestly.
see how I can see both
Yeah.
sides. Like I can definitely see how that would be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another thing that I kind of thought was funny was the hologram guy who the whole time was like advocating for hologram rights and
Yeah.
making sure
That was
Morty
good,
was
yeah.
being politically correct.
Well, yeah,
and then
he was also
it was kind of it was a really cool line as soon as he absorbed this
Yeah, that's
matter.
funny.
It's like I thought that you wanted holograms.
I thought you liked being a hologram. Yeah, it's because I had to be one.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that
That's
line.
funny. And he was always asking Morty's like, and you can go and bring me back as long as that's what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Really polite hologram.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my favorite line of the episode probably. It's like, I thought you liked being a hologram. That's because I had to be one.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a guy. And then just immediately killed by
Yeah.
Wasp Rick,
Yeah, exactly.
who was like this loving family
I
man
did
despite his...
really like Wasp Rick, actually.
Yeah.
His line when he was introducing himself, I can't remember what he said, but he described like how wasps are born. When you're born with that much hate, you kind of have a little bit of empathy for
Yeah,
them.
Yeah. I like that.
That was
That was-
good.
That was a good fake out after all the other
It was,
fascists.
and when Rick Prime came in there, he's like, "Hail, Wasp Hitler." I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the
Whoa,
then
cut-
Wasp,
cut that
You
out,
gotta
man.
cut that out. Morty's been on some weird
Subreddits or
forums.
whatever, yeah.
Cut out the Wasp Hitler stuff.
Yeah. That was pretty
I don't know
funny.
what that's about.
But yeah, I just, because with season 3, I just kind of would watch the episodes and I was still kind of just waiting for one to be like really
Yeah.
good and funny, and they had their respective jokes and stuff, but
Mhm.
none of them really landed for me.
Yeah.
And with this one, the entire kind of clone Rick sequences, I always thought they were funny. I always wanted to know what was next,
Mhm.
and like that I really kind of liked that.
I think that season 3 for a lot of people, I know for us when we were watching it, I think a lot of people felt like season 3 was going to give some answers and like
Oh yeah,
a lot of just like a bit
to
more
kinda
story.
Some of the ongoing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that a lot of people almost expected that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and so when it didn't, it was fine, and they did do an Evil Morty episode.
But
And- but
that
I-
even in itself kind of left some to be
Exactly,
desired.
and so I think people thought that it was going to have a lot more lore and kind of explanations, and go a bit deeper into that stuff, and so people maybe were a little unsettled by that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just to me it seems like at least going into this season I'm expecting more, just kind of back to season 2, just random adventures.
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
thing.
And that seems to be what they're going
Yeah.
to be going for.
Yeah.
And the whole like end of the episode, like rambling.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah, that
like
was
it's gonna
funny.
be like the old
Back
stuff
to
and
the
some of
old
the new.
days.
And some of the new, and yeah, that's why I think maybe season 3 wasn't received as well, and,
Well,
and
and
maybe
there
it's
was-
just for us is because they did a lot of new, ambitious kind of things. Like
Yeah.
they did it, like in the Evil Morty episode. What that episode was really about was this new, like fresh whatever.
Was that the Rick and Morty politics?
The police one where there's this like racist
that one was
Morty
kind of
police.
that one was alright.
It was kind of funny and good, but at the same time it was like, what? Why? Like
that
what
was
is
a good
this
episode? But it wasn't one that I would like go back and watch.
Exactly.
again.
And there was the Stand By Me one, which was kind of weird, where the four Mortys look for the wishing well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But season 3, I think there was a lot of weird stuff and some things that I don't know if other people know, but that is unknown to me, is some weird stuff that happened behind the scenes that I've always thought, like there's some episodes and bits that they released behind the scenes for that never came out.
And I think it was for the...
I feel like there was a couple episodes that maybe got cut, and so there was just some weird stuff going on
because I think
maybe contributed to some of the weirdness of season 3, kind of just the strange kind of reception of it.
Yeah, because I think that what Kieran's referring to is this kind of behind the scenes short that they released that is called like Drunk Rick Method Acting, and I think that it ended up
going nuts.
Roiland like drinking an insane amount and then acting like Rick, and I think it was for the Vindicators episode when he got really drunk, but not a whole lot of that ended up being in it, which is like I guess makes sense because the behind the scenes stuff is obviously not things that will have made it in, especially if it was unusable because of how drunk he was. But it seemed like that behind the scenes seemed like they were really kind of cooking up something special for that drunk Rick episode, and then it just kind of was just tidbits here and there, and like I don't know. Do you know anything about this? Is it true that this is 6 episodes in season 4? 5 only?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And so, again, like, I understand that animation
like
is difficult to make, and it takes a long time, but it's been a while.
It has been a while, and I think it's strange because they released, Adult Swim released a little while ago, that they had renewed Rick and Morty for, like, 78 episodes or something. And so then when they come back and they're like, hey, new season, and then it's only 5, it's kind of weird.
It is.
Did you have anything?
But just that, like, other shows do this on a week-to-week basis.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know, like, release an animated full episode, week to week. And so, I don't really understand, like, I think that, like, but something I noticed that also kind of made it a renaissance for me is that, Dan Harmon's end card went from him on the couch with his wife watching TV to him alone on his couch with like just beer cans everywhere. And so I think that maybe he got divorced or separated or whatever. Yeah.
It's not back on, the battery's dead.
Oh,
we'll just do it. Wait, just hold on. Just finish this, and then I gotta go soon. So then,
and then
I have just like one more thing to say. So then we'll switch around the cameras a bit.
Okay, so this will be on the wide. But, anyways, just that like it went from happy with his wife to depressed and alone, and now this one he was like cuddling with whoever in a bed with their pets all around, and I was like, nice. Oh, that's nice, because maybe part of what was wrong with season 3 was that everyone was tired and kind of out of ideas and
divorced.
in a bad place in their life or whatever, and who knows what Justin Roiland's mind works like. I don't think you can get that much creativity and like kind of dark humor creativity out of someone without also having sort of maybe mental instability repercussions with that. So I don't know.
And then the last thing, I gotta go. But the last thing I kind of wanted to mention was I liked to see the return of the Meeseeks. Those guys are always fun. Yeah. And then I like to see the red Meeseeks because I know Ridley, I think, was talking about it, that he was always advocating for like this different kind of Meeseeks. I saw behind the scenes where he was saying like maybe these ones like are just kind of the evil Meeseeks or they're bad, but I like that they were the Kirkland brand. Yeah, I like that a lot. I thought that was funny.
My house buys like nothing but bad Kirkland brand stuff.
Yeah.
So I saw that.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah. Anyways, if you gotta go, we might cut for a second on the cameras just to move them around.
You'll find out, I guess.
You'll find out. Yeah, if all of a sudden it jumps, that'll be why. So we're back now. We've reoriented the cameras and
Kieran, the middle one working, hopefully.
Yeah, and Kieran is gone. It turns out that we weren't recording wide that entire time. So there's just going to be a part where I'm talking, and it's just going to be showing Quinn and Kieran. But that doesn't really apply to audio listeners, which is probably going to be the people with the best deal on this one, because the cameras were not working out so well. But anyways,
Right, where were we?
we were just talking about this episode and kind of, how it was, like, again, refreshing to me. Because, the last season for me, and if people loved the third season, then I'm sorry. But it felt like it was lacking heart in a way to me. And, like, maybe not necessarily heart, but some creativity almost, like there wasn't any really super bombshell ideas that kind of came to light, like, and they didn't do interdimensional cable and substituted it with Morty's mind blowers, and
it was alright.
It was alright, but it wasn't as good as the hilarious improvisation that they kind of bring in, and those are some of my favorite episodes by far, is just how funny the improv is, like, because I honestly think that improv is some of the funniest humor out there.
When it's done right,
Yeah, just because, like, you kind of add a little bit of appreciation to it, just because, like, you know that they're coming up with it off the dome.
On the fly, Because, like, you can spend hours writing something trying to get it to be funny. And of course, on the flip side, there's these people who, like, if there was a third interdimensional cable, they'd be like, they just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Sick of it.
But honestly, the second one is just as good as the first one. They were both really good, and I wasn't worried. I honestly can't distinguish between the two episodes, like which segment came where. Or, like, obviously the second one took place in the hospital or whatever, but if you ask
words
me,
when he was doing it, sir, what are you doing? A sequel? I don't understand. Yeah, we pretty much nailed it the first time.
Yeah, and so I was hoping for that, and then when it came, like, because Kieran and I were following the third season, like, watching it live, and we were really excited because every eighth episode has been interdimensional cable. And so we were really excited for that, and then it came on, and it's like, we're doing Morty's mind blowers instead of interdimensional cable. It'll probably be just as good. And it's like, but it's
it
not.
has the standard to live up to now.
Yeah.
But, like, I think part of the issue too is that, like, scripted just isn't the same as improv, and even if it was really good, it's still just a different tone to the episode.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I don't remember it as well as any of them, and that kind of speaks for itself. But maybe some of it was improv, and instead of coming up with different characters, it was just Roiland sitting there switching back and forth from Rick to Morty. I'm not sure.
The only one I remember really good is the one where, like, both of the Morty and Summer are, like, chained up or something and imprisoned. Like, you'll say one of your Summer. I picked Summer.
Yeah, just immediately picked Summer. I also remember there was, like, a gross worm parasite in Morty's mouth, and he had to, like, think positive thoughts, and they just started, like, making fun of him, and that just I hate the just, like, the pain. It kept going back in, and it was like, gross.
A couple of them were pretty good.
Yeah, like, a couple of them were entertaining, but like, with the interdimensional cable, it's just so crazy, so off the rails, and, like, it's so funny when they stammer and try and find something to say. Like, that's
you
even
hear them,
funnier.
Like start laughing in the recording.
Start laughing at themselves. That makes it even funnier because you know how impromptu it is, and it almost makes you feel, like, closer to what you're watching.
The turbulent juice one, where he had no idea what he was talking about.
It's so funny. And, like, I love the two brothers one because it just keeps going, and he's like, and then there were cats, and, like, the animators made the brothers, like, look at each other and, like, just are like, are you kidding me? Like, this just keeps going, like, internally. It was just insane. And the crazy ideas, like, Jan Michael Vincent quadrant clones or whatever. I need a Jan Michael Vincent. I need a Jan Michael Vincent in quadrant 7 right now. I'm passing a law. There can be no Jan Michael Vincents, not more than one in one quadrant. And it's like, What are you talking about? Like, Jan Michael Vincent is from, like, Teen Wolf or something. Like, I don't even know who he is. And he just, Roiland heard this name and probably latched onto it. And it's, like, this epic trailer. And it's just so funny.
By far my favorite thing is the eye hole man, though.
The eye hole man.
Great. Especially the post-credits.
Yeah. Give me my eye hole.
What do you think? My eye
Yeah. What do you think you're doing with my eye hole? Oh,
that was
very funny. And that definitely started, like, I'm pretty sure that first, the first part of that commercial is just two eye hole people, like, kissing or whatever. And then the eye hole man jumps in.
Through your eye hole.
Yeah, and it's like, what he definitely didn't know where that skit was going. That's when he started saying
like, you don't know when you're watching it either. Like, oh, this is a dumb romance movie. Psych, it's cereal commercial.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny. But yeah, I kind of miss that. But you know, if the rest of the season had been really stellar, then you know I would have forgiven it. Or if Morty's Mind Blowers even had been really, really good. But just to me, it kind of wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's like. That's my own opinion. If people loved it, then like that's really good. But honestly, like I say, all of season 3 kind of was just kind of missing something.
It was kind of just like a normal cartoon. It wasn't really like Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyways.
Yeah. And even this first episode, it already gives me hope because immediately Rick is dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're getting going here, and his way of coming back is hilarious. Whatever Morty's doing is like, it was very, like, I almost thought when he was flying over them throwing the grenades or whatever, I thought they were turning into Cronenberg monsters when I first saw it, but they were actually just turning into these disgusting melted flesh monuments.
Joggers or whatever.
Yeah, but anyways, like, I thought that he started turning people into Cronenbergs, and I thought that's a kind of a cool reference, is that now he's destroying these other realities, you know, kind of by his own accord. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited for this next season. If this is any indication of what it's gonna be like.
They're only putting out 5.
Yeah, and again, like, why is this stuff happening? We haven't done any research, so if you know,
and I've never animated, so we can't
say you know how difficult or how time consuming it is. Like, I know animation is a very difficult and a very grindy profession.
I mean, I've made some like 3D animations before that were very bad, and those took a long time.
Yeah, and so you know, we can't really judge until we know.
Watch me judge.
But then again, we're still gonna judge because that's what we do. But yeah, I'm really quite picky, is a way to say it, about my shows and my movies. Yeah. I think maybe especially after kind of some of my favorite things have come to disappoint me in recent years, and so I'm always kind of on guard. And so for this to have, especially with a franchise that had kind of and somewhat disappointed me, not to the level of some of these other things, but had somewhat disappointed me. Yeah. It's really a testament to this episode that I actually really liked it. You know, that it really is kind of an indicator that they're getting their mojo back.
Like, I was kind of worried coming into the Rick and Morty peaked in season 2. Yeah. And it was kind of going to be downhill here. Because, like, I could just add it to the long list of shows that overstayed their welcome. Yeah. It's too many of those. Yeah. I don't want that to happen to Rick and Morty.
And yeah, that's the thing, is that in my opinion, it's always better to end a show on your own accords than to, you know, let it go on and run on into a horrible show. Because it's like...
like Gravity Falls, great ending. Yeah. They told the story they wanted to. They finished. Yeah. Adventure Time, I think.
Exactly. Did that. Yeah. Well, here, I'm going to touch on that in a second, is that it's like the quote, I don't remember what it's originally from, but it's, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
I think it's from The Dark Knight.
Yeah. And so that's essentially what it is with TV shows. And like, I love Adventure Time. It's probably my all-time favorite show. And I never wanted it to end, but they kind of came up with this finale, and you know, they wrapped up certain things, but also ended in sort of a way where it's like, these people went on adventures for the rest of their lives, but like, we're not going to show that until it is, like, we're not going to beat this dead horse forever, because there's no point. But there just recently was news that there's going to be 4 one-hour episodes of Adventure Time on, like, HBO Max or something. Whatever the new app is that isn't available in Canada, because, and Canada is so bad for getting season finales or even new episodes of anything. Like, I think it must be because the censorship rules are different. The censors work differently.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be that different from the US to Canada.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
But I don't think the season finale to Adventure Time ever actually aired in Canada. And neither to Steven Universe, which now is going to have about 7 different endings. But anyways, I'll kind of work back around to that. But there's like new episodes just kind of stopped coming out on Canadian Cartoon Network. I had to find other means of watching it, and that's all I'm gonna say there. But you know, like I that's one of my favorite shows, and I didn't know it had ended until like weeks after it was over. I was like, what? Like, how ridiculous is that one of Cartoon Network's biggest shows like never aired for an entire country? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. And it, like, it just...
Whose idea was that?
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense to me when Adventure Time, to me, is one of Cartoon Network's, like, very best shows. You know, they're sort of pumping out a lot of what I consider to be trash. Like, where, like... and Kieran will talk about this in, you know, like, whenever we circle back to this when he's here, is that he calls it the failed Adventure Time effect, I believe, where showrunners watch Adventure Time, see how they have these sort of zany anti-lessons, except don't do it right, and they just end up being these random, nonsensical, you know, and like, just like bad shows. Like, sorry for Uncle Grandpa fans, but Uncle Grandpa is not a good show.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, they went too far with sort of the zany unexpected, and that just makes up the bulk of the show. And I understand that maybe some people like that, but too much insanity just makes for incoherence to me. And
any good show that looks insane had a lot of thought put into making it look that way. You can't just be insane writing it.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's like, and Teen Titans Go is similar to that. I've seen a couple episodes of that. One of the kids I babysit just really likes that show, and so I've seen a couple episodes of it, and you know, like, especially to go from, like, when Kieran and I were kids, we watched Teen Titans, whatever it was more of an anime style.
It was just called Teen Titans.
Show. Yeah, it was just called Teen Titans, and now, like, we were like, oh, Teen Titans coming back, maybe we'll check that out, and it's just this, you know, like, every episode is a joke, and none of them are really canonical at all, and like, I like, there is a place for that, and it's okay,
and it's,
you know, and it is more for kids, of course, but even then, I don't really love the messages that they sometimes are pushing on those shows, and I'm like, are these what kids should be watching? Like, who is this for? Is kind of also a problem with those. Like with Teen Titans Go, some of the things they do on that show are a little bit more, you know, are made for more of an adult, or at least an older audience, and yet, like,
for adults it's hot garbage.
And exactly, it's very childish in execution, and so
it's a weird combination to
have. It is a weird combination, and I find the same thing with Uncle Grandpa, where it's just kind of this, you know, kind of grotesque sort of, like, you know, visuals mixed with, like, just insanity all abound. It's just something that I never liked. I don't know what that was.
The rat screaming.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's what it was. Anyways, Uncle Grandpa, Kieran and I we deduced that we were like, Uncle Grandpa, that doesn't make sense. there has to be incest involved for there to be an Uncle Grandpa. And like the big tagline is like, oh, I'm everyone in the world's uncle and grandpa. For that to have happened,
It's pretty gross.
it's pretty gross. It means that this guy, this Uncle Grandpa, like married everyone's grandmother who was also his sister. And so technically he's everyone's grand uncle and grandpa.
Grand uncle doesn't have the same ring.
Yeah, and that's the only way it can work for
gross.
him to be both an uncle and a grandpa. And it's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you actually think about it, it's like, you can't be an uncle and a grandpa without incest.
Yeah.
So just be, you know, the crazy. I'm Goof the uncle. You know, like it's just, why does it have to be the uncle grandpa? Because you know, like,
if you're gonna incest, you might as well own it.
but like honestly, it's like when you hear two like familial names back to back,
with each other,
it has to be incest. And yeah, that quote of the show, it has to be incest.
That's like tying back to the wishing well, Rick and Morty. I wish incest porn had more mainstream appeal.
Oh my god, I don't even remember that.
Came true.
Oh
Uncle
no.
Grandpa.
Oh no.
Cartoon Network show.
Cartoon Network. There was an entire Cartoon Network show developed on it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're back again. Camera difficulties all abound, but anyways, so we don't entirely lose the flow of the conversation. I'll just try and kind of bring it back to Adventure Time that I was talking about. I'm worried.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about, you know, rekindling it again, especially on HBO.
Yeah.
And on a platform that I'm probably not going to be able to access. You know. You know, and I think that as long as it's written by the same people, I'll be okay. But what worries me is that, like, why are you jumping over to HBO? And, you know, maybe it's because, you know, maybe Cartoon Network hasn't been the most kind to the creators of Adventure Time in the past.
Sure
like
a lot of like behind the scenes stuff.
About. I know there's been like some clashing because Adventure Time's always been a very inclusive show, and you know, like, and this is a problem that, you know, maybe we'll get into on a more serious podcast, but there tends to be the idea that, you know, same-sex relationships are inappropriate for children to see, and I, you know, severely disagree with that, because if that's an idea that keeps going forwards, then children will grow up thinking that it's a very strange thing, you know, and it's not. It needs to be just presented as a completely normal thing to children, so that they grow up believing it's a completely normal thing. And so I know that Adventure Time has kind of always wanted to include characters like that, like it would be Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. I think was a relationship that they kind of wanted to delve, and what it culminated to was a kiss between the two characters in the very last episode. And so, like, I think that they were like, it's our last episode. Come on, moderators, let us have this, you know? And so, I don't know, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. And I think that, like, Rebecca Sugar, with her show, Steven Universe, really kind of found sneaky ways to get past that, because all of the crystal gems appear as females, and some of them obviously have romantic relations with one another.
I've not seen Steven Universe.
But anyways, they, like, except I think the way she gets around it is like, oh, they're not actually humans. They're rocks who project a image of light.
It's such a weird, like, difference for moderators to care about.
Yeah, I know. And
it's not homosexual, it's inanimate object.
Yeah, exactly.
Attraction.
And you know, I don't know if any of this is actually what was going on. It's just things that I seem to have picked up on that, you know, like, I feel like that's likely what was going on, but...
Well, I know moderators can be, like, notorious for censoring stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, manga I read, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, in part 6, there was a character that was introduced as a woman at the start of the series of part 6, but it got turned into a guy later because the moderators didn't want a lesbian relationship. So he had to redo the character.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that it's not a stretch to say that
Yeah.
and to assume that, especially since, and I think in some of the more severe countries, maybe it was Russia, an episode where it's very lightly alluded to that these two have somewhat of a past, that episode was just cut.
Yeah.
It was the episode, what's it called? The one with the Door Lord.
Is this Adventure Time?
Yeah, Adventure Time.
I've not seen all of Adventure
Yeah, I know.
Time.
I'm embarrassing myself. It's my favorite show. It's called What Was Missing? What Was Missing?
All right.
There we go. I got it. I like Adventure Time, I swear. It's my favorite show.
You're gonna call that as being a poser now.
Yeah, oh no. From the 7 people that watch this, they're gonna call me a poser.
Mom, how dare you?
But anyways, yeah, they always kind of had to tiptoe around this relationship. Like, in episodes, you would just see them together, like, assumedly, like, maybe on a date, you know, but they'd have to do it so sneakily, you know, like, where it's like, in one shot, in like Finn's birthday, in one of the later episodes, everyone kind of crowds around him, and in the very corner of the scene, you can see that they're holding hands.
Yeah.
And at one point, Hunson Abadir questions Finn, and is like, he asks him a bunch of questions, like, does she like pepperoni pizza? Is she dating anyone? Something or whatever. And is she dating anyone was the last one. And so when Finn answered, he went like, yes, no, yes, yes, and maybe, he said. And I thought that was a really funny sort of addition, because it's the writer saying, we want to make this happen, but they won't let us. So we have to say, maybe she's dating someone.
Such a weird... It's because, like, I have watched, like, the first season of Adventure Time, or, like, up to, like, where Finn was, like, crazy about getting a girlfriend. That's, like, a whole plot point.
Yeah.
That's okay, I guess. But
yeah, exactly. And so, I'm a firm believer, and I don't want to go too crazy into this.
We're not going to get into this, but we're going to talk about it.
But we're going to talk about it. It's just that I feel like it's very key that all of these sort of lifestyles just need to be presented in children's programming, because it's a completely normal and, you know, like, natural thing to, you know, happen in life. And so if children see that, that's how they're going to perceive it and grow up perceiving it that way.
I like the way Endgame did it. Where it's like they just casually mentioned, nobody made a big deal out of it, and it's like, oh, you're gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Something
funny I think about that is that's one of the directors, the Russo brothers. Yeah. And I like to think he was like, I'm going to be the first gay character in the MCU. and that's the way I'm always saying. It's like, you don't have to make some big episode where it's like, oh, I'm gay and that's the way it is, you know, and like everyone is solemn about it. Just put it in there, like, and don't say anything.
That still makes it weird, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It points out that there's something wrong.
Or different.
Yeah. So you just present it and you don't say anything.
Yeah.
And children aren't going to go, oh, that's a man and a man. That's wrong. They're going to watch it and be like, yeah, I love those two characters, you know? Because they're kids. Like, hatred is a taught...
Yeah, I'm going to write fanfics about those two.
Like, hatred is a taught behavior.
Yeah.
And this is some pretty political stuff to be getting into in our second episode.
Getting it out of the way early.
Kieran might not be super happy about this. Oh, I meant to turn off that light. It kind of makes it a little more yellow. Anyways, whatever. So we're gonna kind of maybe scoot back into some more, you know.
We were talking about Rick and Morty at the start.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. But anyways, Adventure Time, and it's many, and kind of rekindling it for these endings. Yeah. Steven Universe has been doing the same thing. Steven Universe kind of ended with this movie. Well, not this movie, this kind of special, I think it was 4 episodes cut together to be one kind of finale. And then after that, there was this movie that was like a musical that I thought was kind of weird. And I was like, why didn't you just end it with the actual ending instead of
Yeah.
having this weird sort of hodgepodge musical that was kind of weird? I didn't love it.
Yeah.
And then now they've announced one final season again to wrap up things even more.
Final
and it's
season,
like,
we swear this time.
yeah,
guys.
and I'm glad to see it after what was kind of the weird musical.
Yeah, but it would have been fine.
But it would have been
before.
fine before if you just kind of ended. And there are a few things that felt kind of rushed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a slippery slope, right? You know, if you say, oh, this is going to be our last one, we're going to wrap it up here, and then there's something that you forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going to do another musical.
Yeah.
And then since that kind of ended weird, we're going to do another season, you know? Like,
Mhm.
things have to end before, you know, they just,
Mhm.
they peter out into this,
Yeah.
like...
I guarantee part of why shows keep doing that, those executives walk in, like, we can beat a
We
little
can make
bit
more money! Yeah, exactly. And so, I'm worried that my favorite show is now going to get dragged along because I was happy with it ending,
Mhm.
you know? Like, the way that it did. It was
Yeah.
this bittersweet kind of like, we're going to have adventures forever,
Mhm.
you know?
I did watch, like, the last episode.
Yeah.
And, like, just... I skipped the middle. I watched the end, and it was a really
But yeah, and it's
really
like this
solid
beautiful
ending.
song about
Yeah.
how friendship, like, reaches through the bonds of time or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it
Yeah.
because it was very beautiful. It was this beautiful ending. And no, not everyone had this, like, an episode to explore their...
But, like, in the credits,
their
it, like,
things.
showed what happened.
Yeah, what happened with
That
each
was-
person.
I thought that was a great way
I
to
thought
end
that
it.
was a good way to end it.
Because,
And
like, it didn't, like, kill off the characters
Yeah.
or end some other way. It was,
Exactly.
like, they kept doing what they were doing, but we're not gonna drag out the show
yeah,
forever.
and they essentially, they covered everyone's character arcs and closed
Mhm.
them throughout the show in their own ways, in miniseries and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
Marceline's character arc essentially came to a close after the miniseries Stakes,
Mhm.
where she sort of explores her life and her vampirism
Mhm.
and kind of what that means for her and kind of like the curse that it essentially is for her. Finn's storyline was capped off in the Islands miniseries, where he finds out who he is.
Mhm.
And like Jake's has been sort of more just like, he's been kind of the rock. He's been the
Yeah.
consistent character, but after the Elements miniseries, he sort of went through this sort of like self-awakening
Mhm.
after this whole like sort of like his origins were essentially revealed too. And
Yeah.
Princess Bubblegums has been one like that wasn't really touched on in a miniseries, but has gradually, you know, she's learned
Mhm.
to become a better person and to care more about her friends, you
Yeah.
know, and so like when they say that these new episodes are going to be, you know, oh, we're going to be wrapping up each character in their own sort of personalized hour-long episode, it's like,
Mhm.
you already did this.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you really haven't done yet. And
Mhm.
I'm worried that they're just going to like kind of ruin what was a beautiful ending by, you know, just
Yeah.
piling more onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't be that bad if it was just they added more, but when it ruins the ending they established,
Yeah,
that's
because
what's so bad.
And the whole point of the last ending was like, this isn't the end,
Mm-hmm.
but this is where we stop telling the story.
Yeah.
And to keep telling the story kind of steps all over that,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I think maybe I was building to a point before I
Got
started
lost
talking.
somewhere in the homosexuality rant. I
Yeah.
think.
But anyways, you know, we're a very inclusive podcast here. But yeah, yeah, it's just sort of the idea where I'd prefer a good ending to, you know, it going on forever and it just sort of losing
It's
its
starting
touch.
to suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, yeah, I want Adventure Time to go on forever, but I know that there are mortal beings behind it who
Mhm.
will eventually run out of steam.
Yeah.
You know, so it's sort of inevitable that you know,
Mm-hmm.
it can't go on forever.
And one day you might not like it anymore. And
Yeah.
better just to have it end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 'cause, like,
exactly.
you have the story you want to tell, you tell it, and it's over.
Mhm.
You don't keep beating the money horse.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm trying to think if I had another point that I was kind of... I don't remember really what got us on the track of Adventure Time.
Me neither.
But anyways,
That again.
I think it's just the floorboards moving.
Floorboards do that, right? Yeah.
It could be the dogs walking around. Little tiny dogs in the pipes. But anyways.
Did you ever see those like house hippo commercials when you were a kid?
No.
I think it was for like the Sarcan recycling. It was like you have little house hippos in your house.
Oh yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
And there was I remember that. There was like house hippo. I think there was a few different ones. There was like a house giraffe and a house elephant maybe.
Yeah.
I loved those commercials.
I don't remember anything else or what they were trying to probably go recycle. But
yeah,
I just remember house hippos and how I wanted one.
Yeah, me too. That's what I took away from it. It's like, so if I don't recycle, house hippos will come to my house? Okay. It's like,
somebody got fired for that.
Yeah. it was an awesome commercial. The tiny house hippos. Yeah, I really liked that. If anyone remembers those commercials, then let us know. Yeah, man, I forgot about those.
Little house hippos in the pipes.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Like if I don't know if audio listeners or even, if you're watching on YouTube, if you captured, but the roof seems to be clattering around a little bit.
Not really, like skittering. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if our house is condemned or if that was just shifting from the dogs walking around upstairs. Hopefully the latter. But
we'll see.
That remains to be seen. A tiny hippo is just going to fall through the roof and onto the audio recorder, also known as iPad. I was trying to be professional, but I can't.
I think that was thrown out the window after the second.
Yeah, the second technical difficulties break. But yeah, let's see what time we're at and see if you want to keep going. 2:30.
How long was that recording for?
Let's just double check on where we're at. All right, 1 hour.
Minus a bit
for technical difficulties. I don't know. We can keep going if you want.
We probably have time to go into like the release and stuff that I was following because you probably won't have a ton to say, but that'll go quick. Anyways.
Sure. Yeah. Why don't we touch on that?
Yes. Number one, I'm super excited for Doom Eternal.
Okay.
Coming out. I forget when it's coming out. You probably didn't play the first Doom then if you haven't heard about it.
No.
Super great.
I've heard of it, of course.
Super great, hyper gory, old school shooter game.
Yeah.
That was a great game.
The closest thing that I can equate to Doom is probably Wolfenstein. I'm kind of invested in the kind of reboot series of Wolfenstein, and the new one, I think it's called Young Blood or New Blood or something.
Some kind of blood. Refrigerated blood.
Yeah, congealed blood. It's about BJ Blazkowicz's daughters. And I was like, if anyone's going to do a co-op split-screen game, again, since for whatever reason it's falling out of fashion, I'm going to save that for another podcast because I've got a lot to say about that.
That's going to be an angry one.
But, like, I thought it would be Bethesda. But no, we need another Xbox to play together in a game that is meant for split screen. But that's a note for another day.
Yeah, the first Doom was great because it's just like the story about the angriest guy in the world back from hell to wreck up the place on Mars. The first cutscene with him, he's been like chained to like some hell tablet to try and imprison him. He just rips the shackles off. Some computer screen tries to talk to him, he just smashes it on the floor like an angry gorilla, picks up his gun and just goes back to what he knows.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't really care about the story. You just
you just get
demon.
To the shooting.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the new one though, because they changed up the weapons. I don't know if they added any. Like they changed up how some of them work, which is good, because the weapons in the first Doom were really good. I don't know if you know like the iconic super shotgun.
Yeah, I think
that one was that was a blast he used. The sound design on
pun intended. The blast.
It was just like every time he clicked and you heard the sound, it's like big. That isn't it, but you know.
I know what you mean.
It's satisfying to shoot all of them.
Yeah.
The new weapons look even better. I think I don't know if it's grenades that work this way now, but there's like a little arm that like comes off the side of your Doom guy and it like shoots a projectile.
Cool.
Because grenades in the first one kind of sucked.
Yeah.
They were the opposite of satisfying. You threw them, and then
there you go.
Nothing really happened.
Yeah.
I forgot to use them throughout the whole game. And they added a grappling hook to like latch onto monsters, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, always a good thing. Have you played any of the classic Doom games?
No, I haven't
like
played any of the classic ones.
No. Yeah.
It's on my to-do list, but
someday.
If I remember.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to that one. I watched like the 40-minute gameplay footage they had.
Cool.
It's pretty much just more of the first game with a couple tweaks.
Yeah.
And like an energy sword. Which is another always better thing.
Always better with an energy sword. Everything's better with an energy sword, Mom.
And
you don't know what you're talking about.
She's like, I'm not getting you an energy sword for Christmas. God, I hate it here. She's gonna run away. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about Doom Eternal. The other one I'm really looking forward to is Iceborne is coming out for Monster Hunter World on PC. I think it's like early 2020.
Cool.
It's been on consoles for a while. I don't know why it isn't on PC yet. Just adds a bunch more stuff to the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever played any Monster Hunter game.
I have one on the Nintendo Wii.
Oh.
That
I was gonna get that when I was younger.
Yeah.
But my parents said no.
I'm not built for Monster Hunter games.
Yeah.
They're too beautiful of creatures. Like
that's what I was gonna go into next. Yeah, I feel like such an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
They're kind of just doing their own thing. And I walk in with this giant sword and just.
Reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus. Like none of them really are trying to hurt you. You just like hunt them down, and like the game there
this
was
will
like
make a good hat. To
yeah,
just skin them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, I it was in a period where I was just not good at video games. Like I was relatively young, but like like old enough to know better. But like once I finally figured out how to leave the hometown. Yeah. I just like find these enormous stegosaurus creatures, and they're like walking with their baby, and I'm like, yeah, no, can't do that. So I would like
kill 5 babies.
Yeah, well, it like I was supposed
to make a hat to kill the parents.
Oh no,
that's like the worst.
It's the worst thing. And so like I would try and find one that didn't have a child with it because it's like kill a monster or whatever, and so.
This is what you get for being a bachelor.
Yeah, and so, like, I went and found it, and it's like, I just felt like a horrible person, and so then I would try and seek out monsters that tried to kill me, so that I would be justified in what I was doing.
But you're still looking for
But you're still, like, walking into their home, they're defending themselves, and you're killing them. It's like,
The worst part about Monster Hunter World is humans aren't even native to the location.
Oh,
they came in
they're
boats.
Colonizers.
They came in boats to this island.
No, and that's worse.
And the endemic life starts attacking them. So, need a new hat.
Oh, see, I can't play those games.
I can't think about it too much. Once you get to the end game, there's a monster that comes from the old world to kill the new world monsters. Okay. I feel fine killing that one
because you're defending the monsters.
And I need another new hat.
Yeah, those are games that I can't play those games.
It's always, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they had tail cutting in the old one, but because I like to play with the hammers, and so you can break. Like these giant horns on the monsters, you can just break their horns off.
Oh.
And they flinch backwards when you do it. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, no. That's just the worst thing, man.
And I run and pick up the horn because I need it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really can't. I love monsters. I just my whole life I've been drawn to creative just beasts.
Yeah.
And so to be ending these beautiful, majestic creatures, I can't have a part in it.
It's like I was playing it a couple days ago, and there's this T-Rex looking dinosaur that was just walking around. It's normally pretty aggressive, but I was just following behind it with my hammer out, waiting, and walking behind its legs. It's he's not attacking me. I'm just gonna start whacking him.
Oh no!
Need to get his attention somehow.
Fight me. Try to attack me. Give me a reason.
Just have this hammer bigger than me with huge spikes on it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there ever any sort of undertone in the story that is oh, this is actually a bad thing to do? No. It's just you get rewarded.
We're researchers coming in. Oh. When you kill a monster horribly, you're researching it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lovely. Man.
I feel even worse when I capture them alive though, because you still get their body part loot. So the implication is you took them home and just carefully ripped them apart to get the loot. Which is even worse. Because at the end too, they're limping back to their nest to fall asleep, and that's when you go to like put a shock trap down to like taser them, then tranquilize them as they're like on the verge of death, just wanting to go to sleep.
You're a monster. You're a monster, Quinn.
That's the next game, Monster Hunter. You're hunting all the other players.
Yeah,
Game,
I honestly, if they came out with a game that was Monster Hunter, where you play as the monster hunting the monster hunter, I'd play that game. Justice, I say.
I'm pretty sure that was that like 4 versus 1 game that came out with that failed, like Evolve or something.
Oh, Evolve.
That was like that concept basically, the monster hunting.
That seemed like it would be a really cool game.
I think everybody wants to play the monster though. Nobody wants to play
It's true.
the dickhead who's hunting the monster.
I kind of want to try it still. Every time I go to EV Games, it's like in the $5 bin, which is unfortunate, but good for me.
It's free on PC.
Yeah, it's probably not free on Xbox. There's Quinn still pushing his PC purist ideals upon us.
I have a console. It's for Netflix. It's a waste of money. So Iceborne, more monsters to brutalize.
Oh.
New weapons made out of their babies. Their adults easier. But you have this adorable little cat that hunts with you that you can dress up in dead baby skin.
Oh.
It's an adorable cat though. I was putting it out there. And it's a cat, so of course it's down for killing children.
And it's safe from monster hunters.
Yeah, because there's this implication that they're like a servant class race that have like bonded to humans to avoid getting hunted.
Oh my god.
Is kind of what I get.
Oh my god. Oh.
I try not to think about it too
Yeah,
much.
those games are best when you just don't think about it.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
God.
Oh boy.
Anyways,
Anywho.
my third game, Mountain Blade Bannerlord, coming out I think March 2020. I think I heard.
Here. Keep going. I'm just gonna check the camera.
I played the Mountain Blade Warband back in like 2012 or something. That was like the most fun game in the world. I think it was on my top 5 for that.
Oh yeah.
episode that's never coming out.
Could be.
But I mentioned that on my top 5 because it's super fun. Aiden ran out to turn lights off. Okay, so threw me off. He's back.
I'm back.
You thought I was just gonna run away, not return.
Do you remember like the concept of Mountain Blade Warband?
I think. Is this the one with the complicated skill tree?
No.
No? Okay. No, then I don't.
Basically, the concept is you make your own character. Doesn't really matter too much. You start out just like in a top-down view. God damn it, cameras. Kind of like top-down view in a town, and the whole goal is to recruit your own army that you can like ride around the map and like lay siege to castles and just take over the world eventually.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, is the car full now?
The battery's dead.
It's dead.
Keep going though. This is your camera.
So, it is Mountain Blade Bannerlord has been in development for I think 6 or 7 years now. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it since like 2012 or maybe it's 2013. I can't remember the exact date, but a long time coming. It is just now been like a release date has been put out for it. I'm very much looking forward to it because it looks like Mountain Blade Warband, just better graphics, better mechanics.
Yeah.
And it's just better overall. Some of the siege mechanics they added too look a lot better because the original game, well, it's not the original, but the one I played,
Yeah.
it had siege mechanics. It's just kind of a little janky because like your army would spawn on the map and they would just kind of trundle towards the castle and like climb a ladder or push like a poorly rendered siege tower. But this time there's actually like catapults and trebuchets and like traps for sieging castles. It looks very fun.
Yeah. Super cool.
Definitely one I'd recommend if you're on PC.
Which I am not. But just talking about those siege mechanics, it reminds me of Shadow of War, which is the sequel to Shadow of Mordor, where one of the most fun parts of that game, I'm back. One of the most fun parts of Shadow of War is after you've sort of gone around branding, which is how you kind of take control of orcs. Depending on how many you have, if you decide to engage in a siege in an enemy controlled fortress, it just sparks this enormous war, which is just so fun. You're just among your troops, like trying to break down the walls or climb over the walls and defeat the enemy captains that are present in the fortress, and it's just super fun. And like it's something that, you know, I've always wanted from video games, and has only just now sort of been becoming possible, you know, at least in sort of a real, with graphics that good, you know, to be running with an army in the middle of this war is just really, really, really cool. And, you know, especially in the Lord of the Rings universe, for me, that's really cool.
You would really like Mount and Blade Warband then.
Yeah.
Because, like, you spawn in, I think you can change what the max number of units on the map is, but I think you can get up to, like, 300-400 soldiers on the map. And it's, like, that's, like, your army you're running around the map with, too, that you're commanding. You can become, like, king of your own country. And get, like, your own vassals that follow you around.
That's super cool. Yeah, I remember before Shadow of War came out, I was playing Skyrim Special Edition. Maybe it was after. I don't remember. But I was playing Skyrim, and I got a mod that made it so that I could have as many followers as I wanted. So I went around recruiting everyone I had ever met, like calling in all my favors. And I for all of my house carls, I gave them like white cloaks.
That's cool.
And so they were like my personal guard. And I did it for an Alduin fight. And so we went there, and it was like over immediately because I had like 50 warriors, and Alduin's not that formidable to begin with, but there's just arrows and magic just flying through the air at all times, and whenever he landed, it was just this mob like moved in. It was really awesome. But yeah, I always love just sort of having a bunch of like people around you, and like what made it fun in that one run through of Skyrim was that I had personal ties to every single one of these people, and that's another thing with, like, it's a little bit, you know, less extreme in Shadow of War because obviously they're just a bunch of orcs that you've hypnotized, but
don't
you know,
really
like,
care about
but like they're still your personalized guys, and you have your stories for each one of them, like when you fought them and conquered them, you know, like what you were doing. And in Skyrim it was really cool to just kind of like it was really good in the role playing aspect of like my house carls are all they're like my personal guard, my king's guard, so to speak, and then like everyone else, and I separated them into groups and gave them banners. So like I had all the orc,
that's cool,
all the orc people over here, and like all the berserkers and whatever, or like I don't remember exactly, but there was one point where I was outside of Whiterun, and I gave some of them torches and some of them banners, and it looked like I had like this war camp set up, and it was really cool.
There's a thing kind of like that in Mount and Blade where like there's your normal units that start out as just like peasants you recruit from villages, and you slowly level them up until they turn to knights and like full armor with like war horses. But there's also like hero units, I don't know if you call them that, I forget what they're called. They're like unique NPCs you can find. And they like tell you their backstory, what they're trying to do, and you can recruit them, and like their skills will help your party and all that, and you can equip them with stuff. I think you can change in the difficulty settings if they die permanently or if they just like get injured. I never have them die permanently because I don't want to lose them. Also, the modding scene for Mount and Blade Warband is phenomenal.
Cool.
There's this Lord of the Rings mod I have.
There you go.
That's super good.
Nice.
It's a very good game. I'm very much looking forward to the new one.
Cool.
For like 6 goddamn years now.
Yeah. But there
finally
you go.
coming out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they took the time they did to hopefully make it good.
Yeah.
It looks phenomenal from the trailers I've seen.
And
it'll be good.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, super cool. There's, like I said, the one game I'm kind of looking at that I think it just came out is that Wolfenstein, because Kieran and I, we do have 2 Xboxes, and so using Game Share, as long as we buy it online, we can both,
that's nice.
You know, we can both have it, buying it once, which is the least they could do for not making it a split screen game.
So you only have to pay $500 for the other Xbox.
Which was, you know, its own hurdle. But the other game that I was kind of interested in it's called Greedfall.
I've heard of it, I think.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit tentative
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I've been watching some gameplay and some of it seems like, you know, it takes me a while to get good at a game,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they need to be simple for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I hate to say it, but, you know, like, it looks a little bit complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, the skill tree looked pretty insane,
Mm-hmm.
for one thing. Like,
Yeah.
seems like it's for, like, pretty hardcore gamers, maybe even more towards the camp of the games that you like, sort of mixed with sort of like a Skyrim or Assassin's Creed is kind of what it looks like kind of merging the two.
What genre is it? Do you remember? Like,
it's this weird sort of like do you mean like
what's a camera perspective? What kind of?
Oh, it's third person, I think.
Person. Is it like guns or is it like magic and swords?
Both. It's this weird sort of colonial era, like, sort of vibe. So there's like kind of red coat, blue coat, kind of Assassin's Creed 3 kind of era.
Yeah.
Mixed with magic. Like each person has magic on top of having kind of like gunpowder weapons.
Intrigued.
Yeah, and
scary skill tree.
Yeah.
Magic, you say?
Yeah, and so the story is really what is kind of attractive to me, because you know, plot is probably one of the most important things to me in video games, like gameplay aside. Because like I love a good story, and I love being a part of that story. You know, playing through it, and this one seems to be really cool. It's kind of like, obviously, like the colonial sort of era, and it's kind of branching into, and I think it's sort of meant to mirror like the colonization sort of area, because these sort of more human people are kind of branching into this new sort of territory that has these like indigenous people who have more heavy ties to nature and their own sort of magic, and so obviously there are parallels to be drawn there, and that's a really cool and, you know, obviously weighted sort of a story to take, and so I think that would be really interesting. And something else I heard is that the follower interactions are really quite advanced. Like, one of the things I love about Fallout 4 is that when you have your follower with you, sometimes they'll interject and add their perspective on things.
Cool, yeah.
And it doesn't ever have a consequence.
Yeah.
Like, the other person you're talking to doesn't even acknowledge them. They just add their opinion. But in this, it seems like they've tailored it so, like, they'll actually sort of talk with whoever you're talking to.
That's really cool.
And sort of, like, try and pull and push you in the directions of sort of their faction. And that part kind of seems really, like, that seems like something that I'd be really into, because I love the follower sort of dynamics. And so, yeah, I'm just sort of trying to figure out what the gameplay is like, because, you know, like, that's obviously going to be the biggest thing to sort of get used to. But yeah, I don't know, you should check it out, because I think you would really like it, at least,
I'm like the exact opposite when I played Fallout 4, though. I got rid of all my companions. I got the perk that gave me plus damage with no companion.
Yeah.
And I was played Lone Wolf.
Yeah.
But to each their own.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think maybe there was one more, like, Plague Tale Innocence. You heard of that?
Yes, I have heard of that. It's like the kind of like walking sim story game.
Yeah.
Like Plague.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so, that, again, the gameplay is sort of the issue there, because I don't know a whole lot about it, and I don't really like watching gameplay things, because sometimes they just play from the beginning and play a little bit, and I don't really want to see that. Like, I want to experience that part for myself, so I kind of skip through a bit, but then I've missed what they've said explaining how the gameplay works, and so maybe I'll just have to, you know, I'll watch through that part, but, like...
Is it like a full $80 game, or is it...
I think so, yeah.
That's always the biggest hurdle for me.
Yeah.
$80.
$80, yeah. I don't know, and, again... Like, lots of the times, like, I just wait until the game gets cheaper, and or until there's a sale or whatever. and then I get it. But yeah, I don't know. Those are just some ones that I've kind of had my eye on.
Sales are pretty regular here, you know. Just throwing it out there.
I broke Steam. I broke it. We had it on our laptop, and we had Super Bunny Man and Super Amazing Wagon Adventure.
I have that game.
Super Amazing Wagon Adventure still works.
It's good.
I love that game. But, like, I don't even remember what I was trying to do. Like, I was trying to move it. I was trying to move Steam because I downloaded it to the desktop, and all these folders like were everywhere, and I was like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that because I just wanted it to have a shortcut on the desktop.
Yeah.
And I clearly failed at doing what I was trying to do, so I tried to just kind of move it, and then that didn't work, so I just tried to delete it, but I shouldn't have tried to do that because there's an uninstall process that I thought, oh, I'll just select all of the Steam things and delete
the
them.
uninstall process. There we go.
Exactly. And so I've deleted. It would seem that I've deleted the settings portion, so I can't go in and recorrect the folder library, which is what it recommends to do. Yeah. Because I can't access it. Anytime I go to settings, it's just this black box in the middle of the screen. So if anyone of the 7 people watching this, obviously they're all people that I know, so if someone happens to see this and you know what I can do, please let me know. Because, like, for whatever reason, I can still play Super Amazing Wagon Adventure, but I can't find Super Bunny Man.
It's weird.
And I can't correct the folders, and so I've broken Steam, and I found the uninstall process, at least the manual way of doing so.
Yeah.
But it says this will delete all the folders in the folder that it's saved to, and it's saved to the desktop. So I'm worried that it's going to delete everything on the desktop, and it's like, oh no.
That was unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Yeah.
I haven't heard of anyone having that much trouble trying to download Steam.
I know.
I had to walk 2 of my friends through downloading mods for Terraria. That was painful. This is like something super obvious to me how to do.
Yeah.
For them, it's like I'm speaking Greek.
Yeah, maybe you can help me, but I don't know. I don't know what my problem is, so I doubt that you'd be able to figure it out. But that's the thing, is that it's anytime something goes wrong with anything, it baffles me how little the internet has to offer in regards to it.
Yeah.
You know?
The ever helpful, oh, I have this problem too.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's like, thank you for that. And it's like, the most helpful place to go is like forums, essentially, and like try and track it and be like, did someone solve it? But
God knows I'm not gonna post in there.
Yeah. And so, you know, like, it's especially frustrating when you have a problem, you go to a forum and nobody has the answer. They just eventually gave up because people misunderstood the question. It's just like, yeah. But I don't remember if there was something else on Steam that I wanted to get recently, and that's why I was just trying to boot up Bunny Man and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Because I think that was saved to my hard drive. And so, like, I went and plugged in the hard drive and still couldn't find it, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's broken and
just a mess.
Just a mess. I've screwed it up royally. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, let's check the time here.
Hour and a
half-ish, I think. And so I don't want to run too long, so it's not too daunting. And our last one we went for like 2.5 hours, which I think is a little too much.
Hour and a half's more approachable time, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever I see something that's like over an hour, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when am I going to have time to see that?
Yeah.
But if it's a podcast, it's kind of a different animal, but we don't want to run over too long. I'm just trying to remember when we were still in the Adventure Time realm. I think there was one more thing that I was maybe going to say. It's awful that I'm saying this, because if I don't think of it, the whole audience is going to be like, what was it, you idiot? I'll think of it when I rewatch it.
Yeah.
So if I don't say it here, now you have to watch another podcast. See, that's smart YouTubing right there.
Don't tell them that, and they'll catch on.
But yeah, anyways, if you have any thoughts on Rick and Morty or Adventure Time or
gay relationships in Adventure Time.
Yeah, but
maybe don't share those ones.
Yeah, maybe don't share those ones unless they're inclusive and positive, because we won't listen to them otherwise. Yeah, like, or about upcoming games that you want to hear. Like, if anyone...
Share your best monster child killing story.
Oh, no. If you have experience with Greedfall, I certainly want to know if that game is any good, because it looks kind of good. Mm-hmm. There are very appealing aspects to me. But, like, what I need is for someone to compare it to another game. Mm-hmm. Be like, it plays like this.
I'm going to compare it to another game I haven't played.
Yeah, and then I'll truly be screwed. But if there are people watching who are playing that and are like, this is the worst game I've ever played, don't get it, mm-hmm. you know, but tell me what it's like. Tell me why, mm-hmm. you know. Yeah. And so, yeah. So, you know, if you enjoyed this conversation, it definitely, this was an aptly named podcast.
This was definitely unorganized.
Yeah, very much unorganized thought, because we just went all over the place. But I like that.
Kieran left, it just...
Yeah, but I'm happy, because it's the kind of natural conversation that I'm glad that we got into. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, it just flowed to there. Was it organized? No.
But that's
was it conversation?
Did we claim it would be
was
organized?
Was it thought? Yes. And so, if you liked it, you know, I hate this, but subscribe if you want to. And if you're listening to this podcast,
break your kneecaps.
If you're listening, yeah, okay, Quinn. Yeah, if you're just listening on your podcast platform, check out the visual version on YouTube. I don't expect you to watch the whole thing, but
watch it again.
If you're interested in seeing us, then you can check out our YouTube channel. I'll link it.
We might have skits up there one day.
Yeah, one day. Someday. That's something that we kind of want to build into. But yeah, if you like our ideas, subscribe. You know, like we said, put your ideas below. Give us a
Smack that like button.
Give us a like if you feel like it. Honestly, I don't expect that we'll have a whole lot of attention on this one, but you know, who knows?
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. There. 1 view, there. 2 views, right here. 2 views. Boom. So that's that. Yeah.
That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah, exactly.
I might forget to watch it.
Yeah, but I think it was a successful podcast, considering, you know, just the two of us. Kieran just kind of bounced on there. But anyways, I think that's it for us. So, farewell. We'll think of a better sign-off at some point. We'll have like a thing that we say every time.
3 minutes
about
how it's ending.
About how it's ending, yeah. But anyways.
Awkwardly wave.
Yeah. Farewell for now. There we go. Goodbye.